In this video, we're going to install this Pioneer head unit into this Suzuki APV. Before we get started, I think I'll just give you a quick overview of the interior because we haven't really talked much about that. So this vehicle, it's a commercial vehicle, so there's no seats in the back. In Indonesia and the Philippines, these are very common as passenger vehicles where they have seats fitted into the back. In Australia, you can actually purchase an aftermarket seat for the back, but you have to get it engineered in order for you to be able to use it for passengers. And the floor in the back is practically brand new. This vehicle, it's only a 2014 model, and it's done just under 60,000 kilometres. Alright, so the reason why I'm going to install this head unit, this is the actual factory radio. It's a Clarion brand, but that is actually what they come with in the factory. And this actual head unit is no longer functioning. It powers up. There is some sound, but there's a lot of distortion, and it's not because the speakers are a problem. It's the actual head unit itself. You turn it right up and you can hear a bit of distortion. So it makes sense just to replace it. So one of the first things that we need to do is just remove the fascia from around here, and you need to use a tool, a trim remover tool, to sort of just lift up on the edges, and then eventually it will come out. This vehicle's got a cup holder here. Someone built that, so it would normally not have that there. Use the trim remover tool to lever it up gently, because there are clips under here and under there that hold it all in place. Alright, so now you can actually see the screws which actually hold the unit in. You've got a couple of screws here, and then there's a couple of screws underneath or just beside this compartment. So all four of those just need to be taken out. Okay, so once all four of them screws are taken out, we can then just slide out the entire head unit. So you'll notice there's a few cables at the back of it. So that first one, that's the antenna, and then you've got these RCA outputs. They're not actually connected to anything, and then there's a main power cable in the back there. Okay, so the old unit, so this actual mounting bracket here will need to be reused and then put onto the new head unit. So that'll have to come off, and also the wiring as well. I did purchase a wiring harness, so I'll have to just check whether I need to use that or not. But if I just disconnect this from the main, so the actual factory wiring is this female socket here. So that's the main connector, and this harness actually came with the factory radio. So I'll have to work out whether I'm going to use this new one. I probably will. I'll just keep this as it is, and this can be wired up. So before I do any work on here, there's a lot of dirt and dust in here and everywhere. I'm just going to give that a quick vacuum to clean it up a bit. Alright, so with the wiring harness, that's the wiring harness that it comes with. You can see there's a few different connections on there. So we've got a few different options of how we're going to do this. These ISO connections, I don't think the Pioneer head unit uses those. I'll have a look at it in a second. That's the actual connector that connects up into the factory wiring. So that will plug into there. But what we need to do first is open up the new head unit. and then check out the wiring on that. Okay, let's take a look at what we got in here. So it comes with a remote control, which I don't think I've ever used one of them. There's steering wheel, rear camera. That'll get connected up, but rear camera is an option. That's something I can fit later on. That looks like the microphone for the Bluetooth for the phone. So what I'll do, I'll actually install that up on the top of that A pillar up here and make it sort of come out here. That'll be the easiest spot to put it. So we'll do that as well. That is a USB cable that connects to the back, and then this end will probably come out of the glove box or just below the dash somewhere. And these are the auxiliary out, so these won't actually be connected in, so we don't have to worry about that. And auxiliary in, I will plug that into the back, but that's for like the 3.5mm headphone jack type. And then the last one, this is the main wiring connector. And then some screws. Alright, so this is the actual head unit here. And one thing I want to do first is actually we'll put the brackets on just so I can actually do a test fit to make sure everything fits before we start wiring it in, just in case there's any incompatibility issues. But the actual head unit does fit within the size of the fascia, so there shouldn't be any issues there, but we'll just wait and see. So on the old unit, these are where them two screws are screwed into that bracket. They seem to correspond to these two here, but I'll have to do a test fit and see how things fit. Alright, so I've got the old bracket mounted onto there now. So we'll just see how it actually fits. Okay, so there shouldn't be any issues at the back because the depth of that unit is a lot less than a unit which, like the old one, which can take a CD disc or a DVD. The other issue now is just to get this lined up so it looks okay. Because we may need the unit to come forward a bit if this doesn't look good. So that sort of fits in okay. If the unit comes forward a little bit, that might be better, just because you can see a bit of a gap around it. So I'll have another test fit and just see how it goes, but worst case scenario, if that's the best it can be, that's okay still. Okay, so I've done some adjustments. I've just moved the bracket back a bit, so that was the original screw. It's now using that hole. Instead of two up the bottom, it's just got one there and one there. So that brings the whole unit out a bit more. Yeah, I think that's much better. So it's bringing it forward. There is still a bit of a gap around the side, but I think that's much better. So what I need to do now is just work on the wiring harness. Alright, so with the wiring, it's probably easier. Use a like an online, if you Google search, you'll find something like that, which is a wiring diagram that tells you which colours are for which item. So use a guide like that. They're generally pretty much the same for all cars, unless it's really, really old, or in some cases maybe it's really, really new. And then use that, and then I'm going to just work through one wire at a time and solder them to the wiring harness. So this process will take time. It's fiddly to do. Well, it's not too fiddly, it just takes time making sure everything is connected up to the correct wire. Okay, so that's the wiring harness done now, and these connectors, the purple and the green, are for rear speakers. In this van, there's only front speakers. If I do install additional speakers, they would be connected to these ones. So there's a purple one there that will need to be used for the reversing camera, but that's something I'm going to worry about at a later time, because that triggers the camera to turn on, and that's for the parking brake. So the GPS or maps function, you can only use that if the vehicle is stationary. I think that's what that one is for. So just need to tidy this up a bit, and then we'll plug it in and test it. Okay, so I have plugged in the harness, connected that up just to make sure everything works. Everything works as it should. The next thing I did was install the microphone. I've got that up there. Cable runs sort of down that side passage. Depending on what type of vehicle you're installing it in, you might have to do that a different way. But you just remove that rubber seal and then just slide the wiring under, and it made its way through the dash. It ends up coming out here, so I've just bundled that up. So that's for the microphone. This USB cable, I've just got that running down to where the glove box goes. So that's just on the floor at the moment, but it can sit in the glove box. One option would be to have the USB mounted on here somewhere, so you could use one of them switches, these blanks, and do something like that, but that's something I'll worry about at a later stage. Even under here, but I don't really want to cut the dash. The other things I haven't installed yet, the auxiliary input, I might just leave that because I'm probably never going to use it. The reversing or rear camera, I'll sort that out when I actually get the camera and install it, because it's not that much of an effort to get the stereo in and out. So it just needs to all be connected in. So that main plug, the USB and the microphone, screw it in, and then I'll just do another test fit using the Android Auto. I'll just dim the lights a bit because it makes it easier for you to see, although you get a lot of reflection. Okay. Alright, so it seems to be working well. I'm just going to play around with it and just I'll just mute that because copyright. Yeah, I'll have a play around, just make sure everything works, and then we'll put it all back together. Alright, so the last thing to do now is just refit the fascia. Alright, there we go. That's all done. Alright, so I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching my videos.